Joining us now to discuss the state of retail, real estate, industrial policy, Ray Washburne, Vice Chairman of Gillon Capital and Gillon Property Group. He's also Chairman of the Board of Sunoco and a board member of Red Lobster. Last time, Ray, it's good to see you in studio.
Thank you.
Last time you talked about how many companies would probably be able to deal with tariffs so that it wouldn't cause inflation. And you're a big backer of President Trump and everything else. I don't think we've talked to you since we started seeing these much talked about and controversial forays into industrial policy. And I would say, look, when we did the CHIPS Act and we decided to just hand out all these subsidies based on, DEI and whatever, based on child care, that was bad. And what we did with Intel, we already picked the winner. I think getting an equity stake, it's less bad. It's not perfect, but I'd much prefer to actually have an equity stake than to just give it free to Intel. Do you back any of this industrial policy?
Well, when I was in the government, I ran the Overseas Private Investment Corporation. We didn't do grants or giveaways or even take stock. We made loans. And I believe that I'm not a big believer in the government taking stakes and companies.
But you have a problem with that?
Well, look at the oil business when we were crushed back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. We had to figure our way out of the bag. The government wasn't there to prop us up and get us out. And a lot of companies went bankrupt and they worked their way out.
That's the way it's supposed to work. You should be able to fail, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the banks, too big to fail. I mean, I live in Dallas, and, we have a lot of regional banks there, and they've now got to compete with banks that don't have any risk of failing. I mean, how is that fair?
Right. I also made the point that if you read the papers or watch the news, the end of democracy, chaos, it's really staggering. That's all anyone wants to talk about. The market continues at new highs. We've got, almost record low unemployment. Maybe inflation is starting to pick back up again. But how is it? What is the market ignoring? And is it whistling past the graveyard? Is there a comeuppance?
Well, look, a black swan event. I'll give you an example at Sunoco, okay, in gas prices. So this year, gasoline price, we're one of the largest sellers of gasoline in the United States, is flat for the year. Prices, though, are down 10, 12%. What does that tell you? Well, the American consumer is still driving, even though prices, it's 10 or 20% less cost to drive than it was a year ago. That means they're driving less. Alternatively, diesel sales are up 3.5% this year. What does that tell you? American commerce is moving, and you see it in the stock market. Is that moving because we front-end loaded the supply chain this year from the beginning of the year, the first half? Or is that more onshoring, meaning we're moving more things between factories and warehouses within the United States?
Do you know?
That's a number. I really don't know. Our refineries and the pipes are full right now with diesel because we have such demand. Now, as we go into the later part of this year, really the third quarter, let's see where diesel sales go. If they come down off 3.5%, that's a problem. If they keep up, that means I think it's a lot more onshoring going on.
Is this a time that the Fed should cut rates with this economy you describe?
Well, we'll see. If you look at like retail sales, we're in a K-shaped economy right now. And I hear a lot of your speakers talk about that. Our high-end, I own luxury shopping centers.
Right.
We're having double-digit sales increase this year. Rolex, a lot of these people can't keep inventory in. You go to the other end, like a Red Lobster, which is selling to middle America, sales are flat this year. We're really struggling to keep sales flat. Everything is massive discounting going on in the middle market, okay? And you're going to have a McDonald's guy on later, and you're going to find out they've raised prices so much, they're really bumping right up against us in casual dining right now. So we had a crab fest go on this summer. It was great for sales.
You had a crab fest?
Yeah, well, not a shrimp fest. That was last company, but a crab fest, which you missed.
I missed that completely.
Wow.
But we got a crab fest here every day.
Yeah, crab.
That's true. Well, we could deliver some. We got a store close by here.
No, I just more crabs.
If you look at discounting across casual dining, that is what keeps people coming back in. Look at Brinker. One of the hottest stocks in the last year was the parent company of Chili's. Why?
Right. Yeah.
Well, they came out with this. Well, they're $1 more for a hamburger at Chili's
than McDonald's.
Plus, they had an incredible social media campaign going on. All these under 30-year-olds wanted to go there.
They didn't change their logo either.
They didn't change in. But then in our restaurants, look at liquor sales. Beer sales, first quarter this year, were down 8%. The second quarter, they made it all back, and now beer sales are flat for the year. What does that tell you?
I don't know.
People are trading down from a $12 margarita to a $6 beer. So there's a lot of trade down going down. So when you look at restaurants, special casual dining that sells alcohol, what's that alcohol mix being made of? The other thing is these kids say are drinking White Claws and these little, the drinks that are pre-made cocktails.
Right.
So that number's a little off because you buy a handle of Tito's, you get 17 drinks out of there. You buy a 4-pack that's at a store just for the evening if you're under 30. That is enough for that night, but the sale looks like you only sold 4 drinks versus a handle that is 17 drinks. So there's a lot of, funny things going on with numbers right now, I think, in the changing buying habits of the American consumer.
Changing buying habits, but consumers that are under pressure. And I ask
They're under
because
pressure.
we're going to talk to the McDonald's CEO.
Yeah. Like in Europe, if you go to Europe, everyone has a small refrigerator. Why? They buy enough food for 1 or 2 days and they go shop all the time. In the United States, we have these huge Sub-Zeros filled with stuff. Same thing in alcohol sales right now. Kids are going out buying just enough for that night, not taking the handle of tequila, drinking 3 or 4 drinks and sticking it under the cabinet. It's like buying for the moment is what's happening right now.